Hey, so you were just telling me you were just laughing at. I come up with parenting advice here and there. I figure that everybody that has little people that have graduated high school, they can give out free advice all the time.
Mm.
Um, until then, it's just speculation and holding on to strings. And then we were talking about bathroom time and taking breaks. And I was just saying, back in the day, I realized like bathroom time, you realize how self-centered people are, and especially yourself. But little people just don't really care about how your day's going and if you need a break and quiet time. And then bathroom time seemed like it was a play date all of a sudden. And so Josh is starting to have that experience.
Well, it's funny hearing you talk about these things, and then I'm like, man, I go to the bathroom for some quiet time, and all of a sudden, everyone all of a sudden has to go to the bathroom and talk and play and hang out with me. Like,
yeah, they're bringing in toys. I'm like, why are you in here? Like, is something broken downstairs? Is mom getting mad? Like, did the Wi-Fi go out? Like, why is everybody in here? It's like, I don't need a family meeting right now. And back in the day, we didn't have cell phones, so we like actually did business in there. Like, maybe like you were saying, what was in there? Man, toilet paper. There's no like cell phones and like you're playing Angry Bird on the toilet and you're killing.
We had magazines and books.
Magazines and books. Now you got your cell phone. You could potentially be on a on the toilet until your legs fall asleep, I guess.
I could potentially be doing this call in the toilet.
Are you?
No, I'm not in the bathroom right now.
I remember laughing. I remember chuckling when data phones came out, and I realized like the bathroom time in my life had significantly skyrocketed. It's like, oh wow, I can kill a lot of bathroom time. I think that was like back in the day with Angry Birds. You get playing Angry Birds a little bit, but the whole social media is all about, what their business model is? It's all about retention of your eyeballs.
Oh my goodness.
What they try to do is keep you there, and it's all advertising and the onslaught of, that's how they make money, through advertising. And recently, because I heard some marketing techniques, I got the app called Tik Tok. And if you ever were down with it, you and me could probably pull off some good TikToks, but I've never seen anything, and I don't care who you are. This is like the crack cocaine of social media. I've never seen anything like it. It's YouTube on steroids, and basically it's just like skit night in your basement. There's a vulgar, horrible side to it. So basically it's just short, tiny little segments of little videos. Here, can you do this dance? And everybody does this dance. But what I've found is that there's this whole sexualized movement of it, and a lot of insecure young women are on it, not wearing bras. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness! Like, it's just, so it's a video after video after video after video. Like, it just like.
So I remember hearing a podcast that they're saying the difference between YouTube and TikTok is TikTok just goes right to the next. Like, it's like that's part of the. You know how Netflix, it's like you finish an episode or whatever, and it used to be like 30 seconds until the next episode.
It was 19 seconds or 18 seconds. Now Netflix is like 4.
And then TikTok is, from what I was hearing in this podcast, isn't TikTok like, no, there's no time. It's like it's just going right away.
There's no time in between. So you're playing the video, it plays again, it plays again, it plays again, it plays again. So if you see something like, somebody going off a trampoline dumping a basketball, you can potentially watch that like 40 times in a row. But then you just swipe for the next video, the next video, the next video. And they're very captivating because it's so fast and so ordinary. And it's not like YouTube where it's more like it's staged. This is just like, Josh, you want to sing a song and do a dance. All of a sudden, Josh is doing this funny dance that you typically wouldn't do in your kitchen. But the other side of it that I didn't like was just personally, it was like this whole movement of girls not wearing bras and short t-shirts, and I know I sound old on our restream, but I was like, man, if like it is just a dark sexualized, real hypersexual app, and so I really, yeah, I've never seen anything like it where it just is a swipe, 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 swipe. It's all about likes, shares, comments. It's all about like how can I gain your approval of what I'm doing. I've never seen anything like it. It literally is the crack cocaine of social media.
I'd be curious to hear how parents are dealing with that.
I don't think parents know. I honestly don't think parents know. Like obviously there's some good to it, just like Facebook. But when we look at Facebook and why it's so bad for us, it's because it's like processed food. It's like processed conversations. It's partial conversation. So it's always igniting something in your brain. They have colors, they have advertising coming at you. It's an onslaught of pseudo community. And so this is an extreme case of that. And some of the stuff on there isn't, some of the stuff would be very pornographic in a, I'm in your daughter's bedroom as she does a dance with, and I'm like, this is inappropriate. Like, how is this stuff not getting flagged? I guess it does, but I haven't investigated about it, but it unbelievable.
Got to start going through the fear inventory right now.
I'm surprised at like the depth of how it can bring your brain into just stimulate, like next, and then they do little tricks that are interesting that capture your attention. So some of it's very creative, and then they have like the TikTok challenges, so you get to do a dance with your mom.
So what we all want to know right now is, do you have a TikTok tag or a TikTok channel that we can all go to? And
I don't know. I'm not.
Are you dancing in your kitchen?
I was like, how do you turn this into the good? I don't know. It's something that I don't need in my life, and I just, it's a dark hole. And then the other thing that surprised me, because I don't wake up, one of the emotions that we have, one of the dominant emotions is surprise. It's kind of in the background, but it's not like I look forward to being surprised every day. But the surprise of hearing the coroner's report in Vancouver, a city in Canada, in the month of October, having 162 overdose deaths from illicit drugs, most of that being fentanyl. 106. That's like five people.
It was 5 people a day, I think.
5 people dying, losing their lives a day from drugs. That is incredible. And they're not drugs that, we got to go and make or whatever. Like these are chemical reactions coming from pharmacies. Like this fentanyl is from a pharmacy. Like this is pharmaceutical drugs. Like that. If we were losing 5 people a day in Ottawa or Vancouver to COVID, like they would have shut down. Like it's shocking. Mm-hmm. So I think that I'm looking at, after Christmas, and I think we really need to come up with, a lot more content in recovery and just being able to reach people in these hopeless situations. So yeah, that's one of our plans. We were going to do some recovery interviews and take snippets out of that, like 5-minute snippets out of, like anybody's recovery and what recovery is, what it isn't, how did they get into recovery, what are the roadblocks to recovery. Like for me, it took me I think it took me a month and a half just to get into the recovery program that I wanted to get into, because I kept using. And that's one of the things that even the court system is acknowledging now. This disease is like when somebody does a criminal activity or drinking and driving, they're actually not in one of the stipulations. They say keep the peace and be of good behavior. You might have a curfew, you have probation, but they've stopped putting don't drink anymore.
Yeah,
because I was surprised the one day that I heard that in court, because they're actually putting unrealistic restraints on people and criminalizing their addiction. So in some ways that's a positive, because most alcoholics that aren't in recovery just drink. They can't not drink. So
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting about the
Guy doesn't like TikTok either.
you know what's interesting about the overdoses, like when reading BC, it might be easy for someone to read that article or read that stat and being like, oh well, that's the downtown, like that's the East Hastings, and it's like, but really it's like, how many of that is youth, how many of that is in the suburban environment, in families, in what would seem normal context. Like, this isn't just a specific population, but this is actually in every community.
This is a societal thing. This isn't a homeless thing. And the interesting part is that this has happened to children, because most younger people is really what they have available to them is, pharmaceutical medication. That's a lot of these younger people are starting, and then they get it from outside sources that are cut with fentanyl, and they don't have the capability to ingest very much at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a younger person, boom, and you don't get a second chance. A lot of the drugs before, you can pass out, overdose, and you can get brought back. This fentanyl that we have now is that there isn't another. There's no second chance. So yeah, heavy stuff. And it'll be interesting to see where this all, as the dust settles in the new year, and hopefully we can have some recovery content and be able to be a light in the dark, Joshy.
That's the plan.
Let's read our morning devotional. This isn't the Josh and John podcast. This is morning devotionals. Good morning, everybody. We are going to enter our meditation time. We are reading out of a book called Daily Reflections, and we are in November 26th. This one is called The Hazzards of Publicity. Oh man, maybe we're going to be talking about TikTok right here. Or not. People who symbolize causes and ideas fill a deep human need. We of AA do not question that, but we do not have a we have to soberly face the fact that being in the public eye is hazardous, especially for us. And that comes out of the 12 and 12 book of AA, page 181. As a recovered alcoholic, I must make an effort to put into practice the principles of AA program, which are founded on honesty, truth, and humility. While I was drinking, I was constantly trying to be in the limelight. Now that I am conscious of my mistakes and of my former lack of integrity, it would not be honest to seek prestige, even for the justifiable purpose of promoting the AA message of recovery. It is the publicity that centers around the AA fellowship and the miracles it produces not worth much more? Why not let the people around us appreciate by themselves the change that AA has brought in us? For that will be far better recommendation for the fellowship than any that I could make. Amen. Interesting. As I was just talking about doing addiction content. This was written well before the age of internet.
It's and I think that's the one. I think that's the one balance of, like, where they're saying they were big on the anonymity, one for your own protection or safety, but also to keep your ego down a little bit. Just to not see it flare up, and that's a question that I've had, recently. It's like, to what level do I want to expose myself, to people to friends, to people at the park, on videos like this, telling people that I'm in recovery or part of 12-step stuff. And I think it is one thing of, like, making sure you stay humble. But I think there's a lot of people that are struggling right now that I think, if I don't expose myself and I don't share my story or where I've been or what's going on, how are people, like, if I just meet someone in recovery and, like, they don't know anything from me beforehand, like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
How do I be a light, and how do I guide someone or point someone, um, into recovery or to healing or to a higher power if I'm not actually exposing myself and my journey in that. And it's funny though, because I remember we talked about this, and you're like, "Oh, you're gonna start your own channel?" Oh my goodness, no! Like it's like that's the last thing I want. Come on here, for me to come on to this is one thing, but um, yeah, I think there's a lot of people in our society right now that are struggling, and yeah, I don't. It's not about making it the
Yeah,
John show, and
well,
it's not making about Josh Beatty show. It's like,
those aren't that good of shows anyway. I think a key word is limelight. Like our egos are looking for the limelight. Whether we know it in addiction or not, we are the center of attention. Whether you're driving erratically, whether you're spending money that you shouldn't, whether you're at the bar buying shots for people, we're our egos are looking for the limelight. And then the other words of, is my recovery founded on truth, honesty, and humility? And so they're actually talking about promoting AA as a promotional thing, not as an attractional thing. And so right now we're not promoting a specific 12-step program, but we're just trying to give content of recovery so that people can be encouraged by it. So I think that's the biggest difference. I know that like I would only hit the dance floor drinking. I want to be the dance floor, but I only have to be drinking. And it's like that's the kind of ego and limelight that my addiction was looking for. And then in the recovery world, sober, I'm like, I'm never looking for a dance floor. And I don't necessarily like public speaking, and I don't necessarily like teaching in front of people, all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of the path God had me down. I didn't know that I would be teaching on Sundays. Like I remember getting invited to a church to teach on Sunday because I worked at a rehab center, and so they just thought, hey, John Ruby could teach at a kids camp. John Ruby could teach on the odd church Sunday. So I get invited to these places. I remember the first church. It was actually in Barhaven. It was the Chinese church right in Barhaven. And I was so nervous. Like, it's not even fun. It's not even fun being that anxious, like butterflies in my stomach for 2 days.
yeah,
I go up there and I'm even more nervous. And I'm even embarrassed to drink some water to make my mouth not dry. And
to make it work.
I shared a message about discipleship, and I was like, I got off the stage and I was just like, oh, I'm so glad that's over. And so I think we can do online stuff for sure and have content. But it's like, what are we doing with it? Are we promoting a certain 12-step, or are we just being salt and light and promoting through attraction rather than promotion? Really, that's what I get out of it. So it's not like I think we should be doing this kind of stuff, and we should be doing collaborative content that's not about us, that's about addiction, or that's encouraging to people, that kind of stuff.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Beautiful.
All right, so everybody grab YouTube, and let's do everybody get their own YouTube channel and
Your own TikTok channel. John is going to hit the dance floor.
Some of the TikToks, I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I could do that, and it would be funny, because I'm not a 17-year-old girl. I'm a big boy. All right, everybody have a great afternoon. What?
On that note of everyone thinking about John Ruby as a big boy dancing in a TikTok.
All right, we will catch up with you tomorrow. Have a great 24. Hockey sticks in hands. Keep 6 feet apart and wash those hands.
All
right.
See you guys later.
Bye.